This Sunday will mark the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. Many items from the wreckage are now going on sale. The company RMS Titanic Inc. owns all of the artifacts on and around the ship. It has salvaged more than 5,000 items, including plates, jewelry, and furniture. It even raised a 17-ton piece of the Titanic itself. The company plans to sell the collection in a winner-takes-all auction. It's estimated to be worth nearly $200 million. Even a century later, the story of the Titanic keeps fascinating people across the world. To commemorate the anniversary, Reader's Digest is republishing a remarkable account of the disaster in its April issue. Joining us now is David Noonan, National Affairs Editor of Reader's Digest. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
What is it with our fascination? Why are we so into this story?
I think it's what happened and where it happened. Basically, you had an entire city of people sink into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in the middle of the night.
You tell it as if it's Atlantis all over again.
It's a tragedy. 1,500 people, the slow sinking of the boat, the realization that they're not going to get off the deck, that they're doomed.
You have a personal story to tell. I think it's remarkable that it was this classic story told in Reader's Digest in 1986. Here you are, the national editor, and you have your own personal story.
My great-uncle Dennis O'Brien, who was an Irish horseman, he was basically a jockey. In 1912, he was 21 years old, and he got a job offer to come to the United States and ride horses for an American family. It was a great opportunity for him to start a new life. His brother, my grandfather, was already living here in New York, so he said, that's what I'm going to do. And he bought a ticket on the Titanic.
Wow. What happened to him?
The story of my great-uncle Dennis is really the story of the Titanic coat. Dennis didn't survive the sinking, but his coat did.
And his brother gave him the coat so that he would look fashionable and not too poor, not like he was on steerage.
My grandfather, Michael O'Brien, bought a great-looking top coat, the kind of coat that a governor or a senator might wear, and he sent it from New York to Ireland so that Dennis would look good when he came through Ellis Island. As the boat was going down, Dennis gave that coat to a woman who was in a lifeboat who didn't have a coat. He also gave her a note that he wrote to Michael in New York, and he asked the woman to make sure that the coat and the note got to Michael in New York, and she did do that.
Do you know what happened to the note?
This is the great mystery. We've been telling this story in my family for generations. We don't know what Dennis said in the note, and we don't have the coat. Sometime between 1912 and 1944, when my grandfather passed away, the coat went missing. So we have two mysteries in the family.
Unbelievable. Well, you do know that your great-uncle was a chivalrous man, a man who would take his coat off and hand it over to a woman.
This is one of the things about the story that really captures my imagination and the rest of my family's imagination. The idea that a 21-year-old young Irishman, that his final act was a gallant act, that it was a selfless act, and that he was thinking of someone else, and that he did the right thing, and the last thing he ever did was the right thing.
Lovely memory. David Noonan, National Editor with Reader's Digest. Thank you for sharing that story.
Thanks for having me.
You can read all about it in the April edition of Reader's Digest or on readersdigest.com.